Hi, Michael.
Hi, Rola. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Nice to see you. Of
Nice to see you too, and thanks for being with us today.
course.
First of all, I want to say huge congratulations.
Great. Thank you so much. I'm thrilled to have won the award, one of the awards.
Very well deserved. And Michael, before we start our conversation about your work, could you please introduce yourself? Just tell us a bit about
Sure.
who you are.
Sure. My name's Michael Perrone. I am originally from the USA, and I've been in Doha for 10 years now, teaching in the painting and printmaking department at VCU Arts Qatar in Education City. And I primarily teach painting, but we're a very diverse department, so I've taught other topics as well, including digital fabrication and drawing, sculpture, so a variety of things. And in my own artistic practice, I utilize a lot of different mediums, including photography, film, and many others.
So, given your background as a painter primarily, how does photography fit into your practice as an artist in the broader sense of being an artist?
Yeah, I mean, many different ways at many different times, but it's always there. So it is a constant. Um, Sometimes it's worked its way into my art making through source material. So there was a time I can remember distinctly when I started graduate school in Philadelphia, and I was still kind of living and working in New York City, and I would be driving back and forth from New York to Philadelphia on the Jersey Turnpike, and I'd be using my then somewhat new digital camera. This was in 2002, and taking pictures while I'm driving. And a lot of the imagery that I was seeing were industrial landscapes, like driving through Newark and Edison and other parts of New Jersey that are quite, beautiful in their own way, but they're kind of industrial factories, dirty. And these images that I was taking this time went directly into inspiring my paintings. And so in some cases, I would literally just copy the photo directly onto a canvas. In other ways, I would just collage elements from different photographs to create somewhat of a collaged image through painting. But that's one specific mode. And more generally, I think I use my camera like a sketchbook, and that could be any type of camera. The image that I submitted for the competition was a Polaroid, but I also use my iPhone. I use other digital cameras. I use Rolleiflex 6x6 camera, 35 millimeter sometimes. It really just kind of depends on what's available, but I'll take pictures of anything that sparks my interest visually through my daily travels. And that could be, again, driving to work. It could be going on a trip somewhere. It could just be seeing something that inspires me, the way light is hitting a building or a certain color combination. And I use that camera, whichever one is with me, as a way to document that. And then how I use it later is unknown at the time.
Yeah, I think the beauty of your practice is this element of spontaneity that you keep alive, and you allow your process is very much about being in the moment and making and following the process of creating.
For sure.
So, yeah, Michael, I wanted to ask you. I know that you also have a very sort of strong interest in monuments. You also studied Soviet literature. Is that what you did?
Yeah, I was a Russian studies major in on my undergrad, along with political science.
Uh-huh.
And I also, took art courses. I wasn't originally in an official art school, but then after graduating with those degrees, I went back to school and studied at the School of the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And then what led you to your interest in monuments? This will lead us into your image.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, I guess it's two-part. One element of it is just purely formal. It's like the visual euphoria that I get from seeing vertical objects on the horizon, on the horizontal landscape. So that contradiction or that contrast of the vertical against the horizontal. But then more conceptually, some of these things that I studied, political science, and just my interest in travel and culture, in the way people behave based on where they live and what they've been taught, those more ambiguous elements, are often either intentionally embedded in these monuments or sometimes just occur through time, through accident, through neglect. And is in the case of the spomenics that I've been studying in former Yugoslavia, depending upon where you are in that vast area that used to be one country that's now 7 countries, these monuments made in the 1970s and 60s are treated differently by the different new countries. So some still keep them in their positive thoughts and keep them well kept, and other countries don't agree with the thoughts that went into their creation and the philosophies, and thus they're neglected and falling apart and almost in ruins. So that's really interesting to me as well.
Yeah, looking at, how a monument is this vessel of memory that has been implanted, by whoever built the monument, but also by whoever views the monument.
Totally.
So it's this reciprocal,
And it's
relationship.
always changing, based
Yeah.
on what's happened in between. So this kind of accrued meaning that happens through time.
Mm-hmm. Which brings us to your winning image, which is another form of monument. Can you tell us a bit about this image? And then maybe if you can also touch on why you chose to photograph it using a Polaroid camera, and then also about the framing, your decision to frame it the way you did.
Sure. Well, I think some of the things I've already said were at play here, and I could repeat some of those. But, for the basic, just this idea of the horizon, and even though there's not a natural horizon line here, there is the horizontal line of this hill in the lower third of the foreground, and then this object that's protruding from it in a vertical position. So I've always been excited to see these landmass forms in Zakrit, which is where this photograph was taken in the west of Qatar. And I don't even know what these forms are called here. In the US, we might call them like a butte or a plateau or something. But another thing that's at play here is this element of time. And certainly you can see the way the land has been eroded and changed and modified through time. So I guess in what we were talking about before, it's kind of a metaphor for how we might view something and have a certain thought at one time, and then 20, 30 years, 50, 100, 1,000 years later, the same thing is viewed by different people or even by the same person if it's less time. And that meaning may change based on the changes that are occurring to the form. As far as why did I shoot it? I think, again, it was just this, it's impossible to describe, I guess, but when you see some, I guess the easiest word would be just inspiration or the sublime. It's like when you see something that just exudes this feeling to you that you want to get to know it better, either physically or conceptually through thought. And the instinct for me is to take a photograph just as a memento of that moment. So it could be, like a souvenir of this trip that I took to Zakrit. It could be actually to look at it as a reference if I wanted to put it into one of my artworks. It could be just to have, an image to show to friends and family that have never been to Qatar and never been to this landscape. So hundreds of reasons probably why I took it, but I think like maybe what you're asking me is that unknowable one. It's just like I just had to take it. I was compelled by years of looking, years of thinking about images, and I just wanted to have it. The Polaroid, I'm trying to remember back if there was a specific reason why I used that camera on that day. I mean, the Polaroid in general, I would say, is one of my favorite cameras. And you brought up this word spontaneity, and I think that's a big reason for me loving the Polaroid is just it's so spontaneous, and you get the image right there. And less than that, though, or I should say more than that, the thing I love about the Polaroid is that it's imperfect. It can be used skillfully with a lot of attention, but if you don't give it the attention, you're more likely to have things that are unexpected. So in this image in particular, there's a large light leak in the upper right-hand corner, and most likely the sun was in that realm, but I think also it was just because the camera is old and it has a slight light leak, or if you point it in the direction of the sun, it can't quite handle it. And so that was, something that I couldn't control. I didn't even know was going to happen necessarily, but I like that lack of control. And there's a couple other things in this image on the left-hand side and the bottom where there's a thin black or darker kind of line. And to be honest, I'm not even 100% sure what that is, but it's some kind of, I'm pretty sure that it is just the bellows of the camera, because it's the type of camera where you pull, it's semi, compact. So you open the camera, you open the bellows, and again, because of the age of the camera I used for this photo was probably from the 1960s or 70s. So you start over time, the camera starts to break down, and you get these idiosyncrasies that, again, you can try to control, but you never really can fully control them.
Wow, beautifully expressed, Michael. My take on your Polaroid shot is that, I feel that the Polaroid enhances this personal feel of the photograph. To me, Polaroids are something that are, spontaneous and also whimsical, and also they have a lifespan. They're gonna fade with time. They're not gonna last forever. They're sort of the way that they capture light is not the most refined. It's just this very sort of personal take of a space or something that you're looking at. Another thing is that it allowed you to create this very organic feeling to the Zakrit monument. It almost looks like a human body with the curves and this like soft color that's almost like skin. It allowed for a lot of playfulness, I feel.
Nice.
This is why I was completely drawn to it. Okay, Michael, just one more question about your practice.
Sure.
So as an artist, you're super versatile. You work, I mean, primarily in painting, photography, but you also do a lot of public art. And Qatar has seen a lot of your public arts. You've done, you know, the basketball ring, the mural that you did in Doha as well. And currently, if you can just tell us, you know, what are some of the projects that you're working on?
Sure. Yeah, the public art was something that was unexpected and just basically came about through the opportunity through QM, the Jadari art program that they have that I applied to and was given this mural. And that kind of started me in thinking about taking my work and presenting it in a different forum, you know, instead of a gallery or kind of white cube situation, to put it out into the public. And I really, you know, it's something I've done more recently, but I'm really enjoying it and enjoying the fact that it's able to be seen by people that maybe are not expecting to experience art. Currently, I'm working with a colleague, Marco Bruno, who's an architect, and we have a project in Lusail that is just about finished, but it's two shelters for cricket players, and it's on a cricket field that has about 10 cricket pitches in Lusail, and these structures, they are monumental in a way, and again, they align with this concept of emerging from the landscape or being some kind of disturbance in the horizontal stillness of the landscape, especially here in Qatar, where there's not many high disturbances. So yeah, we Marco designed these structures. They're meant for cricket players to seek shelter in from the heat and the heavy sun when they're playing. Usually in the daytime they're playing, and I've painted them in a atmospheric way to kind of mimic this gradation that happens in the sky during sunrise and sunset. So again, even in this photograph, although it's not a sunrise or sunset, I'm sure one of the things that attracted me to the image, to take the image, was this the situation of the sky behind the rock form. And I just love that subtle gradation, the contrast of that against this very rigid, strong form. So yeah, that's I'm sure has seeped into this project as well.
And you made Zikrit look like the figures in your paintings.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, it's all kind of coming together, like you know, and I don't want to say that it's completely unintentional, but in many ways it is. It just kind of, I've never been a figurative artist, you know. I've worked with the figure in art school and stuff, but it's not something I tend to put in my artwork. But these forms that I've been making for the past 6, 7, 8 years, that again were inspired by monuments like this one, this natural monument in Zikrit, other monuments around Doha, and then the international monuments I mentioned before, and many others. But they've slowly been taking on figurative quality, and it's more like I can recognize that in the paintings that I'm doing now, but it wasn't necessarily where I started.
Yeah.
So we'll see where it goes, though.
I'm curious to see where it goes as well. Michael, I just wanted to we'll conclude with this question.
Sure.
Thank you for being so generous with your responses, and it's been really a pleasure talking to you as always. So Tasweer is, you know, relatively new as a festival. And in your opinion, what does a photography festival today need to be doing? And what's some advice you can give us about how to support photographers best?
Yeah, you know, it's amazing. I think some of the things you're doing are exactly the things that need to be done. This award is a great example of that. It will help me to continue this process for me, purchasing film or whatever I need to do in that regard. But there's many other awards associated with the festival as well. The public events that you're doing, one of my colleagues, Hadir Omar, had a recent Tasweer event that unfortunately I wasn't able to attend, but I've seen documentation of it on social media. So that was, I think, a great way to get publicity for the festival, but also just show different type of photography and more performative type of photography. And the exhibition that's up at Mataf was also, a great way to get the word out and share photography with the community. So I think all three of those are excellent ideas. I don't know if I would really have I just think it's great to have this festival here, and looking forward to it growing over the next few years.
Thank you, Michael. Thanks for your thoughts. It was great talking to you.
Thank you,
And
Rola.
good luck. And I look forward to seeing more of your Polaroids.
Definitely. Thanks so much.
Bye. Take care,
Bye.
Michael.
Bye-bye.
Bye.